Ah, Christmas. A time to be merry. A time to be nostalgic. So, I wanted to talk a little bit today about destroying nostalgia. This is a topic I've brought up a lot with Clocked specifically. I feel Clocked and we experience gaming the same way. The way games make us feel. And I had a video with him a long time ago where we talked about Donkey Kong Country. We both love Donkey Kong Country. We had a 2-hour discussion about it. The video is on this channel still. I love that video. But in order to make that discussion, I played through the entire game again. And I love Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country is absolutely amazing, from the music to the graphics, what it represented on the Super Nintendo. But, you're often thinking, oh, a new Donkey Kong comes out. It's not better. And a new Donkey Kong, it's not better. A new Donkey, look, you can't beat Donkey Kong Country, okay? It tugs at my heartstrings. The music, Life into the Mines, the Crystal Caverns, aquatic ambience. You just can't beat Donkey Kong Country. Or can you? In today's video, I want to mention a bunch of games where I feel I overcame my nostalgia. I'm a retro gamer. Legend of Retro. I love retro games. The original NES is my favorite console. I love the pixelated stuff. I like all this stuff. Obviously, I play modern games as well. I have a PS4, I play on PC. I don't limit myself to anything, whether it's old or new. But obviously, when a new game comes out, I'm comparing it to what I used to love, to some of my favorite games. Clearly, some games are masterpieces. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, it has never been outdone. Even the art that was Woolly World was not better. Super Mario Galaxy 1 is my favorite Mario of all time. Galaxy 2 couldn't outdo it. Mario Odyssey couldn't outdo it. Some games also have absolutely perfect sequels that were never beaten. Borderlands 2. Look, Borderlands 3 can't even touch that. Same with Darksiders. Darksiders 2, come on, it's one of the greatest games ever. You think Darksiders 3 is going to come near it? But sometimes you have to look back realistically, objectively. You have to look at things. And I always say nostalgia is a massive factor. It counts no matter the game. But sometimes, I struggle with myself and I have to admit, look, nostalgia aside, everything this game meant to me aside, the new version just is better. And that is painful to admit. And today, I'm going to talk about a few games here, and it's going to increase in intensity. It's going to go nuts. You guys are not going to expect what is going to come in this video, okay? If you know me a little bit, you're not expecting it. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the ladder. Skylanders Giants is what got me into Skylanders. I love Skylanders. I have like 100 figurines, okay? I have my custom built Skylander that works. Is one of my favorite pieces that I own of video game memorabilia. And, Trap Team came out. It sucked. The racing game came out. It sucked. They're adding all these stupid gimmicks and I never liked it. I'm like, dude, Skylander Giants got me in the game. You think you cannot do it? And then they came out with Imaginators. This is the last Skylanders game they made. And you could build your own Skylander, as I just showed, which I did. But you could make your own Skylanders in this game. And I think the gameplay evolved, the graphics evolved. But specifically being able to build your own Skylander, like, that was immense. And then I look back at Giants and I'm like, but I want to build a Skylander. You can't do it in this game. And as amazing as Giant is when it comes to the gameplay, Imaginators just blew it out of the water. And I had to be like, look, Giants, okay, you got me into this franchise, but I think it's time we part ways. And Imaginators just blew it out of the water. I absolutely love Skylanders Imaginators. Don't worry, we're gonna get into franchises you guys like as well. Mario Kart 64! Mario Kart 64 is art. Look at this game, man. I love Mario Kart 64. I played it with my younger brother specifically to death. We played thousands of hours, and also with my friends, 4 of us, we did like 4-player multiplayer, the battle mode, the racing. There's such nostalgia loaded into the sound effect. Welcome to Mario Kart.
Welcome to Mario Kart.
All this stuff. I love Mario Kart 64. And Double Trash came out, and I hated the 2-player driving mechanic. It looked a bit washed out. Mario Kart Wii came out, which I liked. It added the motorcycles and everything. But I don't know, it just didn't hit the right place because I didn't really like the Wii. Mario Kart 8 came out, and I was like, man, Mario Kart 8 is just absolutely amazing. And then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out, and the way this game stands today, from all the characters that they added, from all the tracks, it just, like, what is this still? What is this still? A lot of Mario Kart 64 courses actually remade in here. Royal Raceway, Rainbow Road, and they're so vastly superior in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But it's not just that they did the Nintendo 64 better. The zero gravity mechanic is absolutely amazing. When you're going on these tracks and then all of a sudden you're going upside down, you're seeing the races above you below. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is obliterated everything that came before it. And even my nostalgia couldn't keep it up anymore with everything Mario Kart 8 did. It's a great example of how much Mario Kart meant to me always. Everything from my past, with my friends, with my brother, but no. Dude, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just factually way better. Just visually, the expressions, the levels, course design, the amount of content in here. Fortunately, this is why I specifically also mentioned Deluxe, because Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, the battle system was weird as hell. But then they added like a great battle mode in this game. You had the DLC and everything. It is just a perfect game. It's a perfect Mario Kart. And I'm afraid to see what they're going to do with the next Mario Kart. I'm like, is it going to hold up? Because, for example, I love Sonic Racing Transformed. But every Sonic Racing after that, they just removed the transforming mechanic and the racing became weird and stuff. So, I don't know. I don't think Mario Kart should go without the zero gravity mode anymore. And it's gonna be the new game to beat, honestly. I can go crazier. Final Fantasy VI. This is the Japanese imported version because I played Final Fantasy VI for my brother who imported it from America when it was Final Fantasy III. Either way, Final Fantasy VI is a perfect game. It's an absolutely perfect game. From the soundtrack, from Terra's theme, the opera theme, the overworld themes, Nash, like I have all these names, all these things in my head, the battle music, everything. Final Fantasy VI is perfect. And I used to love Final Fantasy. A big reason is because you have all these characters. And some people hate Final Fantasy because of this. Oh, it doesn't have a main character. But that's what I like. That's why Final Fantasy VI is so good. Because all the characters matter. All the characters have story. And then stuff happens midway through Final Fantasy VI that I still won't spoil it for people who haven't played the game. But it changes everything. And you have to meet all these other people in all these different ways. And it's hard to talk about without really spoiling it. But either way, the impact Final Fantasy had on me in gaming is indescribable. It showed me the scope a game world could be. The crazy stuff stories could do in video games. It was absolutely mental. And it's been my favorite Final Fantasy for a long time. And then another Final Fantasy came out. And I always struggled. I don't like it better. I like them both equally. You don't like two things equally, okay? It just doesn't happen. And a new Final Fantasy came out. And I fell in love with it. From the opening music already. This game, for me personally, just is better. Almost nobody agrees with me. Because people only remember one scene from this game. But I remember what this game did to me emotionally. Final Fantasy X. I bought this later down the line. There's 2 discs in here even, I think. There's like also Final Fantasy 6 and Final Fantasy Beyond Final Fantasy. There's all this bonus content in here. Because I played Final Fantasy X when it came out, when my brother bought it. Again, because he used to be the PlayStation guy. I was the Nintendo guy. I literally borrowed his PlayStation to play Final Fantasy X. And I specifically remember it was actually Christmas time. Hey, that's kind of appropriate. It was Christmas time. I was playing Final Fantasy X at home. And we always had like family dinner. Everybody came over. And my brother walked in my room. And it was at the end of the game. And he told me, like, dude, you can borrow this game, but you're not allowed to finish it. Let me just say, that was 20 years ago. He still hasn't finished it, okay? I'd still be waiting. I was like, I don't care. I finished the game. Final Fantasy X. First of all, nothing I'm going to say is going to diminish the art of Final Fantasy VI, okay? I gotta get that out of the way. That is why these videos are hard. You have to overcome that nostalgia. To Zanarkand is the greatest song ever made in Final Fantasy. The soundtrack of Final Fantasy X just blows 6 out of the water for me. The story also. People don't seem to understand the story a lot. I like the poetry behind Final Fantasy X. Behind the summoning, Yuna's duties, the group following her, the individual stories. Lulu is the coolest Final Fantasy character that has ever been made, okay? For many, many obvious reasons. From the extremely amazing gothic outfit that she's wearing with all the belts, to the fact that she fights with plushies, okay? She has plushies on the battlefield. And they fight for her. She channels her magic through these plushies. It is absolutely nuts. I like the conversations, the attitudes between the characters, between Lulu and Wakka, for example.
He does look a lot like Chapu. I was surprised too, the first time I saw him. But no matter what he looks like, he isn't Chapu. You shouldn't have brought him here in the first place.
Yeah, but he needed our help.
Excuses again?
Yeah, but...
That's it. No more. Enough, Wakka.
The Aeons, the summon spirits, the way they work in this game, the reveals from Anima, I think it was. You got Auron, all these characters. I like the grid system to unlock new moves and everything. The sound effects, the magic, the summons. Just everything of this it hit me so deep. And when Final Fantasy X starts, it starts with this crazy Rammstein-like metal segment of the Blitzball. Look, the Blitzball sucks in this game, okay? I never did it. I hated the Blitzball, so don't worry. Don't fight me on it. But that intro cutscene where Tidus is doing the Blitzball stuff and he does his upside down kick and you have Sin coming in the background with all this stuff, just the attack happening. And again, the poetry and everything that Sin represents, the story just went so much deeper than I ever thought possible. Like, this stuff just hit me emotionally so hard. And again, that opening cutscene with the 2 Zanarkand music, with the group sitting by the fire and the spirits floating in the background. I almost still now want to cry when I think of it. The impact this game had. Just look, okay? Let's just face it. Because I always want to say, yeah, I like these games equally. I don't know how to choose. And the reason I say that is I don't want to diminish what Final Fantasy VI is. But let's face it, bro. 10 is by far the superior game for me. And, you know, sometimes you have to crush that nostalgia. Dude, we're gonna go in levels you guys are not ready for some of these games. The next one might be a little bit obvious. Animal Crossing New Leaf. I love Animal Crossing. It's been my favorite Animal Crossing for a really, really long time. And, I mean, it's hard in this conversation because objectively it is the best Animal Crossing that there was up until then. And even now, I still think between the amazing 3D effect that New Leaf has, I love it. The 3D effect was one of the main reasons why I always kept it so high. And all the extra stuff like the shopping area looked really cool. It had the online mini game islands. There was so much in New Leaf that New Horizons just didn't have. And it doesn't fucking matter, okay? New Horizons is absolutely leagues above New Leaf. In Animal Crossing, up until this point, whenever a villager would move into your village, it would destroy your path layout, your flowers, your water, your everything would be destroyed. They would appear randomly. It was really hard to create a nice cohesive village. Not only that, let's say you don't play for a week, because I don't know, back then, I don't know, you got homework, you got work, it doesn't matter. You don't play for a little bit, and then you boot it up, and you get a letter from your favorite villager like, I'm gone, see ya. You're like, wait, what happened? Your favorite villager is gone forever. And back then, you can't get these again. That's just not how it works, Unless you had friends, because I think in New Leaf it already worked like that. You could get villagers from your friends, but it was a mess. It was an absolute mess. And New Horizons, first of all, by now this game is huge. It's massive. With the DLC they added everything that is in this game. It's crazy. The visuals are just absolutely gorgeous. But even the base game, just the fact that you could decide exactly where your villagers lived, that you could hunt for villagers on islands with these tickets to see, to gather the villagers to your island, the fact that villagers can no longer leave without explicitly talking to you first, no matter how long it's been since you've played, and the fact that you can create mountains and rivers anywhere you want, just those base things that were in the base game already makes this by far the best Animal Crossing. And it just is. And every time I look at New Leaf, I'm overcome with nostalgia because I like the music in New Leaf better. The 3D effect, I miss it. All this stuff that I think about New Leaf that just makes New Leaf amazing. But again, I could never again go without the customization that New Horizons offered. Right down to putting items outside of your house and everything. I made a whole video about Animal Crossing. I will link it at the end of this video. And there's no reason for me to just regurgitate all that information. But yeah. Come on, man. This is technically not even a contest, really. What is a contest is the last two games I want to talk about. These are hard. These, for me, are the definition of having to overcome my nostalgia. The first one, I talked about it a little bit in the beginning of this video. Donkey Kong Country. This is a Japanese import because the original childhood copy I had rotted away on my brother's attic, and the day we found it again because he borrowed it, it was just literally just a pile of mold was left. It broke my heart. It was my childhood copy with the green leaves and everything. But so yeah, I imported it. I've said it in the beginning of this video. Donkey Kong Country is the essence of nostalgia for me. Look at that. That 3D art that they did, the gameplay, the music, the story behind it, just Donkey Kong himself as a character. It reinvented this character and it redefined what graphics could do back then. These 3D graphics that they used, where it looked almost real, and have these sound effects and the music. Come on, iconic music, aquatic ambience. My personal favorite, Life in the Mines, all this stuff, the minecart sections, the sound effect, the way this game looked. It is just steeped in nostalgia specifically. Objectively also, I don't think Donkey Kong Country 2 comes even close. I know people think that's the best. It doesn't come close to me because it didn't have Donkey Kong. It didn't even have Donkey Kong. And then 3 had the stupid baby. And then we had to wait there's a bunch of spin-offs on the GameCube. It just wasn't the same anymore. And then Donkey Kong Country Returns came on the Wii, which I liked. But it didn't have swimming in it. It didn't have water levels. It only had Rambi. It didn't have any of the other animal stuff. If it even had Rambi, I think it did. And then Tropical Freeze came out. And I struggled so hard with my nostalgia. When Tropical Freeze came out, you saw Donkey Kong for the first time with this real fur. I was like, oh my god. and you see the design of these enemies. You have the winter is just invading the kingdom, and I love this aspect. And in the whole game, you're fighting these invaders that more and more take over your land until it's covered in snow. You're battling through the snow to get to the final boss. The intro cutscene is amazing with the music. What's the song called? Forest Folly? Ah, that's such good music. Such good music. They have the swimming back, the animal companions. Visually, this looks like you were playing a Pixar cartoon. So, but not just visually it blew it out of the water. The platforming was way tighter. The way Donkey Kong moved was just exquisite. His movements when he was just jumping on the floor, his jumps, his swinging, everything. The minecart sections were like nuts. The way this game played with the background. This game is just absolute perfection. And every time I think of both of these games now, it's like, yeah, I feel this game. I feel the nostalgia. It is still a really solid game. Visually, I still love it. I love playing this game. It took years for me to finally be like, no, dude, you gotta overcome that nostalgia. Tropical Freeze is just perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It has no flaws. It has no flaws. It is absolutely amazing. I love it. I love it so much. And it is factually way better than the original Donkey Kong Country. And it hurts to admit. And now we come to the crazy part. I am still struggling with this. In my head, Donkey Kong Country took me years to overcome. I don't know how long this is going to take me. But it might win. It might win in the end. And it's so hard for me to admit this because I think of this game. And I'm filled with such emotion for everything this game meant to me. What it represents, the characters, the music, the atmosphere. One of the greatest games ever made. It's in my... Oh, I never even thought of this yet. Because again, I'm not saying yet that this game is now better, but I'm struggling with it and I'm thinking it might become better. But it's hard for me to admit this. Majora's Mask! The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is my personal favorite Zelda of all time. I can admit that factually Ocarina of Time is the better game. If you'd ask me to recommend a Zelda to you, I would still recommend Ocarina of Time. I like Majora's Mask better. I love the Skull Kid as a character who was just an outcast, bullied by society. This game came out in a period where I was heavily bullied, and all of this just matters. And it came out at a turning point in my life, really, actually. So the nostalgia is like multiplied. It's phased into me. The moon crashing down is such a visceral, spectacular visual feast. There's always having this this moon looming over you, crashing down, slowly approaching, getting bigger. The music changing, the days being announced. You got 72 hours left. You got 24 hours left before the earth is shattered and destroyed. Just the concept of this game is so dark. And I like this dark, melancholic aspect the Majora's Mask have. The remix of the original Zelda theme in the overworld. The music when you're on the bay looking out over the water. The swimming aspect. Invading the Gerudo Fortress. The stone temple is one of the greatest temples in Zelda. Becoming a Goron, racing over the field. And all of that doesn't even touch the fact of the main thing that makes Majora's Mask so great. And that is Clock Town. Just Clock Town. These villagers that are living here day by day, approaching death. And it's just, you're just witnessing the final hours of these people. And they know it's the final hours. And over the days, the villagers are evacuating. And you're learning their stories. You're trying to help them with side quests, with the time traveling. Controlling time to help these people in their quest to either move away, to either get together, to find love, and all this stuff. Like, the side quest aspect of Majora's Mask, the way you get involved in these characters' lives, the way they become a part of you. And as you can hear, the way I'm talking about Majora's Mask, on every single aspect, it just hits me. So it is so hard for me that I'm struggling with this. And the fact that they released Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is absolutely amazing.
Okay, let's go!
I like the freedom of it. The traversal. I like how full the world is. So a lot of things that I liked about Majora's Mask, this game just does it as well. I'm not gonna go into specific spoilers for the end of the game, but so you have the world is just filled with all these people. So Clock Town is now divided over the entire world. There's quests everywhere. There's people you get involved with all over the world. You're finding the stories from all these characters, from all these different races. Everybody has problems. I like that Tears of the Kingdom went back to that idea of Ocarina of Time, where you came into an area, like you came, for example, to the Rito village, and the Rito village was completely frozen over. You're going to a desert, and there's a sandstorm coming on with like monsters that are appearing out of the sandstorm. There's just all this crazy stuff, all these people, all these quests. The world is changing. You got the traversal aspect, the exploration. Exploration is one of my favorite things in video games. And you had Hyrule. You go to the sky. You have caves to explore. There's a massive system. But Tears of the Kingdom brought back some of the darkness from Majora's Mask into the depths. And now you can explore the depths as well. And the story that emotionally hit me in such a personal way with the Skull Kid and the Skull Kid story. Tears of the Kingdom brought that back in Zelda's story. Zelda herself goes through stuff in this game that I don't want to have spoilers yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. But it is absolutely crazy the impact that had on me. Zelda's story, the suffering it represented. So the suffering of the Skull Kid, now you have the suffering of Zelda. You have the moon crashing down, which is just like a scope of a thing. That's something I like. When something small is standing across something huge, is one of the things why I like the moon crashing down. It's coming, it's scary as hell. And then you have the finale of Tears of the Kingdom, which I'm not going to talk about. Don't worry, there's no spoilers here. But it takes everything that happened through the entire game of Tears of the Kingdom, stories you uncovered, memories you've seen, relations you've built, lore that you have learned to appreciate that you can't believe is happening, and then the finale happens, and the scope of the finale, I'm still like, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe this game went where it went. It is the craziest, most epic finale I've ever experienced in a video game. It just hit me in awe, and it reminded me of that moon crashing down. I'm not saying the moon's crashing down, it doesn't happen, but it reminded me of the scope of the moon crashing down. It became huge. It became way bigger than the game itself was. And the finale of Tears of the Kingdom is nuts. They do something on such a scale that is absolutely unbelievable. That is just mind me. So you have everything, I feel, that just hits me, you know. You got dungeons are back. The way the dungeons affect the worlds. All of that is back from all these old Zeldas. I feel it takes the best of almost every Zelda. It takes the story kind of Ocarina of Time. It has old school dungeons again. I don't care what anybody says. It has old school dungeons the way I was missing them. It has the exploration that Breath of the Wild had. Multiplied by 4. Again, the scope of this game. It has the tranquility aspect. Where you're just in the sky. It's so serene. It's amazing. Just looking out of the skies. The freedom you have. Just the fact that Nintendo managed to create this game where you dive from the sky all the way to the depths is crazy. I have a pretty cool Tears of the Kingdom video as well. I will link it at the end of this video too. But, so yeah, I'm struggling right now with overcoming everything this game meant to me. This game is me. This game is my soul. The Skull Kid. The sadness and the melancholy that just roams over this entire world. The moon crashing down. These are visual, emotional aspects that is hard for me to put into words. And that is something that is hard to just overcome. But slowly I'm coming to the realization where Tears of the Kingdom just might be the best Zelda game ever made. I can't say yet that it is, but I have to be honest. Majora's Mask has a few flaws, which is why I say I would recommend Ocarina of Time. Tears of the Kingdom, the story you learn, the things that happen in this game is just transcending from the story to the visuals, to the emotional aspect of it, the impact of the story, the exploration, the levels of the exploration, the darkness, the things that this game does, it's just absolutely brutal. And maybe one day I will talk about this in a more spoilerish way, but it just came out. I mean, you can tell with Final Fantasy VI, I have a hard time talking about spoilers because I don't want to ruin games for people, specifically when games do such massive things. But yeah, I'm emotionally drained from this rant. just overcoming your nostalgia, what games mean to you, childhood games that came out in moments that defined your life. And it is hard to admit that new games that come out can just be better, but sometimes they are. When you have something like Tropical Freeze, it's just such an emotional thing to just be like, yeah, look, Tropical Freeze just is better, no matter the childhood nostalgia I attach to the original Donkey Kong Country. Same with Final Fantasy X. The way the story just poetically hits me that hard. It just changed the way I view what stories could do in gaming. The same way Final Fantasy VI changed the scope a game could have. And look, Tears of the Kingdom, it just shows me that games can still surprise you. That even though you attach such a heavy emphasis to nostalgia, to what these games mean, again, it is hard for me to put into words what Majora's Mask means to me emotionally. The story of the skull kid, the moon crashing down, the dread, the melancholy surrounding Clock Town. But I think Tears of the Kingdom, it just has all of that as well. Anyway, I don't want to just destroy my nostalgia in this video. Again, nothing changed the fact that Majora's Mask is art, that Donkey Kong Country is art, that Final Fantasy VI is art. All these games I showed are absolutely amazing. All I'm saying is, sometimes you gotta let go of certain emotions that you feel to just be able to accept, like, look, sometimes a new game just is better. Let me know if there's a game that you attach heavy nostalgia to, where you had to convince yourself, not even convince yourself, but you had to admit to yourself that, look, a new game came out and it's just factually better. It hits me just as hard, if not harder, whether it's the visuals, the story, the music, the general impact of the game. Let me know if such a game exists for you, where the new game was just better than the old one and you had to overcome your nostalgia. Thank you for watching this video. Check out these videos as I mentioned before. Animal Crossing video and Tears of the Kingdom video. They'll be linked at the end here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment down below. All my social media links are in the video description as well. Thank you for watching. And I just want to say again, nostalgia matters. And it is a huge factor for me in gaming, which is why this video was draining. Absolutely draining. Thank you all for watching.